trying to get more organized. These are zines that I already read and reviewed. But today, good YouTube community, we're gonna do a mega zine review because I'm trying to get caught up with all these zines that have been getting mailed into me. I want to do my due diligence and review them all. So let's get into that now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. As always, it's me, Rich. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. Today I got 3 zines that I want to talk about. And that's going to be Decolonized Travel from Muchacha, Fanzine, Resisting Capitalism for Fun by Lori, and then POC Punks. Now, all 3 of these zines are pretty heavy, and a lot of it's about deconstructing, capitalism, patriarchy, privilege, racism, and it's heavy reading, man. I'm not gonna lie, I feel drained after reading all 3 back to back. But damn, were they some fucking really good zines. But let's go ahead and get into them. Resisting Capitalism by Laura Marie. I really enjoyed this zine. One of the things I liked about it was her take on anarchism. Like, it's so playful. Like, even here in the beginning, right? Hello, I'm an anarchist. I believe in freedom. I really enjoyed that. One of the questions that she asked herself is some of the stuff I find myself asking myself quite a bit. Like things of the violent revolution versus, the peaceful revolution and things like that. As an anarchist, I always find myself thinking about questions like that. One of the things that I really enjoyed in this zine and her thinking was, but I also think of zinesters as anarchists. We're writers who take things into our own hands. We have freedom, publishing exactly what we want, when we want. Not all of us are anarchists, but that's the spirit. And I absolutely agree with that. And I think that she hits it right on the nose. A lot of her anarchist perspective I can identify with and agree with. Another thing that I found very interesting in this was she kind of talks about the Catholic workers movement, which I know for some folks they might not be aware of that, but for me, being a Central American, the Catholic workers movement, has done a lot of work with like Salvador, Nicaragua, which is the country that my family's from, and I myself am a citizen of Nicaragua. So for me, I know who the Catholic workers and what the Catholic workers movement represents and is. And so it was just fun and interesting because Laura Marie goes into kind of gossiping and giving the facts about what it is and kind of the limitations that you will find in the Catholic workers movement. And I just fucking found it very interesting. One of the things that was very scary to me was there's a passage in it where she talks about, I think about superflu and population getting way lower all of a sudden. And man, does that hit the nose. This zine is home printed. As you can tell, it's sewn. And it's just classic DIY zine making. I really liked it. One thing I will say is that it's kind of disjointed. It's not very smooth read, but a very interesting read. And what I mean by a not very smooth read, it kind of just, it's kind of like a free-flowing stream of consciousness. So it doesn't really follow one particular topic very well, but like I said, it is a very fun and interesting delve into the mind of an anti-capitalist anarchist. So I absolutely love this zine. Next zine I read was Muchacha Fanzine number 12, Decolonized Travel. This zine, I couldn't wait to get my hands on this zine because I like to travel a lot. But also I have, the dubious situation of being one American, but also being part of another country, speaking a different language, and looking like, other. So traveling to me is kind of rough and it's kind of difficult because I don't like to tokenize other people's cultures. And so Decolonized Travel definitely is one of the zines that tries to tackle this from the perspective of people of color. So as a person of color, I absolutely loved it. I'm a big fan of Muchacha Fanzine. I think I should start off by saying as well. And I want to show off how it looks, because look at the aesthetic of it. It has this cut paste kind of collage. Like every page is interesting, right? Like it never leaves anything to be wanted. So, you know, what would you find in the zine? Well, you'll find a lot of things in the zine. To begin with, it has like sections of photo zines, which then allow the photos to pop. And the contrast of all the other pages that are more text heavy have the cut and paste kind of collage aesthetic. But once you get to the photo zine section of it, you notice that there is no more cut and paste, no more collage. And they do that, the editor does that, Daisy. She does that so that the images can pop. I just think that it's so well formatted. Daisy Salinas, you do an amazing job with this zine, man. I absolutely love Muchacha Fanzine. If you guys aren't up on Muchacha Fanzine, try to get something from them. You know, it's just one of these zines that you know eventually is going to become, you know, a larger scale project, magazine type thing, more formal, kind of like a Razor Cake or a Fifth Estate. If you guys are familiar with Fifth Estate. And if you're not, let me know in the comments, because I would love to cover Fifth Estate as well. But yeah, you know, it has the table of contents. It has about the contributors. And ultimately, Decolonized Travel in this zine, it talks about the love to travel, the way you can learn to be more mindful in your travels, and trying to understand the ways we are privileged and the ways we are oppressed as we travel. Which is a line I directly pulled out of that zine, which hit me, you know, really, really hard in the chest. Two of the articles that I liked a lot, one of them was called Decolonization Process by POC Punks. Let's see if I can pull that one up. Right here, Decolonization Process by POC Punks. And the reason why I like this one, and this one right here, Ethical Travel Tips by Mechi, is because they give you actionable items on how to reflect and how to counter some of the privilege that we have and be more mindful as we travel. And I always talk about how I love when zines have actionable items in it, things for you to do, right? So like it lives on beyond just the reading of. So this was one of those zines that definitely has those, and I reflected on a lot of it. And a lot of it was very empowering, and Daisy Salinas' article I think was probably the more hard-hitting one. And it has this quote that I want to read, and it says, "We women, people of color, queer and transgender folks will destroy anyone's limited idea of travel. We will be adventurous and spontaneous and write our own stories and tell our own truths without your approval." Right? So she kind of leaves it on this note of like, that's why it's important for us to create our first-hand accounts, to tell our stories and to give our perspective so that we can counter the white cis, you know, capitalist patriarchal narrative. So man, Muchacha Fanzine, Decolonized Travel, anything from Muchacha Fanzine is always amazing. And I don't know if I've done a video on all the Muchacha Fanzines I have. If I haven't, let me know. I will definitely do a deeper delve into the Muchacha Fanzine collection that I have. But yeah, so Decolonized Travel is an amazing zine by Muchacha Fanzine that has, like I said, a lot of different things. Cut and paste, collage, has a comic in it. Here goes the comic images. But it also has kind of like these cut and paste kind of little narratives. And this one I thought was the strongest one for me, at least, which is Nuestra venganza es ser felices, which translates to our vengeance is being happy, which I thought that was a hit. And here goes some of the photo zine portions of it. So once again, you guys, that's Muchacha Fanzine number 12, Decolonized Travel. The next zine we got is called POC Punks, and for anyone who doesn't know, POC stands for People of Color, and this is from a zine being created called Punks Around, and this is number 11. So this is well made. You can tell it's probably printed at home, a staple finish, nothing too crazy. The aesthetic is kind of very text heavy, very kind of punkish, not very cut and paste, has a few art. This actually right here is from an artist by the name of Sophia Zarders, and here goes another one that I thought was pretty tight, which is by an artist by the name of Maurice. So what do I want to say about POC Punks? Well, to begin with, I loved it. It's all first-hand accounts. There's probably about 6 or 7 articles in it. One of the articles that I liked the most, though, was from Kevin Moore, and it's called When They See Me. And like, one of the lines that hit me hard was, he says, the examples I shared should not be anyone's experience, and furthermore, acts of solidarity should not be surprising. They should be automatic. And it's absolutely true, man. And he goes on this long narrative of how you cannot be neutral and how the punk scene cannot be neutral, and that's something that needs to be cut out and weeded out from punk spaces. And I absolutely understand and agree with this. And I think that the majority of the people in the world need to start understanding that it's not enough for people to not be racist, but people need to actively be against racism. And that's, I think, the point that some people are missing. And that's why, like, long time ago, I remember mentioning it, and I still, like, this is the reason why I've never gone behind Zine-O-Matic. And people have always asked me, like, how come I don't mess with Zine-O-Matic? Wouldn't it be fun to do an unboxing of Zine-O-Matic products and blah, blah, blah. I don't do it because they took a stance of being apolitical. And the problem with being apolitical is that your silence is violence against people of color and other marginalized groups. And what you deem as radical politics are probably not radical politics to the people that are being oppressed and marginalized and dehumanized all the time. And that's why these things matter. And honestly, a lot of the sentiments that a lot of the people of color and the punk spaces talk about are things that I've seen in the zine community as well. Which goes to tell you, and it's one of the overlining themes in this POC Punks zine, which is, even though these people claim to be very radical and open, there's still a lot of times that people of color are going to deal with racism. And that, non-gender binary people are going to deal with sexism and homophobia and transphobia and things like that. And so, yeah, man, the zine was really, really heavy, man. One of the other articles that I liked a lot, which for me was more encouraging, was What Adds Up. It basically is by Martin Wong, which had he was one of the publishers of Giant Robot. Now, if it sounds like I'm geeking out, it's because I am. Giant Robot, for people who don't know, was an amazing magazine. I didn't even know it started off as a zine, but there you go. And it's kind of one of those that now resides in like obscurity. I don't know how popular it ever gotten, but I just remember seeing it around and always being like, that shit just looked strange and it looked weird. But yeah, there's a whole article on that. There's an article on Alice Bag, which is a East LA punk singer. Well, let me show you my Alice Bag book actually, since we're here. But yeah, there's a story in there about Alice Bag, East LA Chicana punk superstar. She's fucking hella cool, man. But yeah, so this zine was hella good, man. Very, very fun read as well. But like I said, like, all 3 of these zines, it's kind of draining, man. Honestly, to understand and remember that you're part of a marginalized group that's continuously being dehumanized. You're also part of the problem because you are part of a privileged capitalist system. And just that duality that people of color continuously live with in life, of like, one of the points that all 3 zines touch upon are kind of like this idea of what is or isn't for you. People of color should be able to travel. People of color can skate, can read comics, can make zines, can do all of it. People of color can garden or whatever it is they see fit, right? And that's part of that, decolonizing our mind and remembering that we're human and we're part of the human experience, and whatever humans decide to do, we can do any and all of it, or we can do none of it. Basically, it really is all as we see fit. But alright, guys, that's all I got for you guys today, man. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Alright, guys, till next time. Lights.
Fight the fascists.